You know, all right. Top line and title of this one: Every hand's a winner. Every hand is a winner. Where am I getting that from? All right. So let's think about a game of cards. Let's say we're playing spades. The objective of spades is for you to win as many hands. You have a partner. There's 13 books. You want to win as many as you can. Well, some of you might know how to play spades, some of you don't. Basically, spades are the most upfront face value cards. And then you got your clubs, you got your diamonds, and you got the hearts. Regardless what you have, any hand you get dealt, you can win with it. And sometimes in life, it may seem as though other people are playing with better cards. Maybe they were dealt a better hand. Maybe they have more spades. And it may be true. There may be some competition or a challenge that's sitting to your left or to your right, and they were dealt a better hand than you. But doesn't mean they're going to win. Doesn't mean you're going to lose. As a matter of fact, as life goes on and you start to play the hand that you're dealt more tenaciously, more resiliently, resiliently, um, vigorously, you have to press the gas in life. You've got to always be looking for an opportunity to play one of the cards that's in your hand. Either the card in your hand will present or open up an opportunity, or there's an opportunity or circumstance or situation that will come in life, and you always got a card that you can play. It might not be the best card, it might not be the strongest card, but you always have a card that you can play. Once you get that mentality in life, you're not necessarily unstoppable, but you are a bit invincible, because with a mentality that I got a card that I can play in every situation, or there's a situation for every card that I have in this hand, you never really lose. You may have setbacks, you may have your gratification delayed, but you never really lose as long as you play the hand that you are dealt to the best of your capability. I'm telling you, you cannot lose. And even what seems like losing. See, what seems like losing in life is you play a card and you don't win that book. Life be like that sometimes. Sometimes you can just be laying down cards 3 or 4 times in a row, and all of them get taken. You don't win with them. But that doesn't mean you're losing. That might mean that you're laying the path establishing a precedent, establishing a foundation for success later in that game. Because, see, you never really know how playing a card in your hand is going to play out. The first thing you got to do is play that card. So always play a card when you can play a card. Always be looking for an opportunity to play the cards that are in your hands because you never know. And more often than not, the most successful endeavors in your life, the most conquered challenges in your life don't come from when you had the best hand or just, you know, you got dealt a hand where it was like, oh, success is inevitable. Because generally, life does not deal you cards like that. I don't know who dealing these cards, but you know what? I ain't gonna lie. I go back maybe in my 20s. Didn't really have this mentality in my early 20s. Because in my early 20s, I I was looking more at what I didn't have. I was looking more at the cards other people had. I was looking more at how many books and how many hands these people over here winning, and I'm just like, dang, I don't. They got like five, and then he's got three, and I've only got none. So I'm like, what? But I still had cards in my hand. And sometimes if you let the fact that maybe success, um, maybe glory, maybe establishing yourself isn't coming quick enough, sometimes you'll get discouraged. You'll get cold feet. You'll get hesitant. You'll get, you know, doubtful. Mm-mm. You can't do that because the moment that you start to doubt yourself, the moment you start to let the circumstance that you can see, the moment you start letting the energy that's around you engulf you or dictate how you play your cards, then you don't play your cards to win. You'll get in a situation in life where it's like, oh, was it my turn? Okay, and then you just throw out a card. Can't do that. If I could go back and have those years back, regardless of what was going on in life, when it was my turn, first of all, before it's even your turn, before the challenge, before the opportunities even come, you got to look at your hand and be like, how am I going to win with this hand? What do I have? Okay. Oh, because I'm going to win. But how? Know your hand, know your weaknesses, know your strengths, know your temperament. Ooh, that's a good one. People don't use the word temperament. Know your ambitions, know your boundaries, know yourself. Because once you know these things, then you start knowing the value of the cards in your hand. And every card in your hand always has value. That way, when it comes time to play a card, you always have the intent of winning. You always have the intent of success. Every time you move in life, anytime you take on an endeavor, anytime you set out to do something, You should have success on your mind and how you're going to do it. So that's what I would have told my 21, 22, 23-year-old self. Still be telling my 38, 39, 40-year-old self that regardless of the cards that I'm dealt, I will form a winning strategy. You all played spades, and here's a little kind of filler, some little supplemental info. So, in the game of spades, you're dealt 13 cards. The only way that you can throw in that hand is if you aren't dealt a single spade, a card in the suit of spades. If you don't have a single spade, you can throw your hand in. If you have one spade, you have to play. And you know what's interesting? You know what I've noticed in life? You know when the most success comes, or when the most triumphant moments in life come? When you don't really have a lot of spades. Maybe you only have 3 spades. Maybe you only have 2. Maybe you only have 1. And what would be the equivalent of out of 13 of your cards, you only got 1 spade? All right. So that might be, everyone doesn't have the family support or financial support or moral and emotional support as others do growing up. Some people don't have any of those. Some people may have 1 but not the other 2. They might have 2 but not the other 1. Sometimes, more often than not, people get dealt those type of hands. And believe it or not, you'd be surprised. The successful people that you see in life, the people that are, you know, seeming to be happy in life, seeming to be flourishing and prospering in life, they weren't necessarily dealt a good hand. They didn't get 13 cards and 8 of them was spades, 10 of them was spades. No, you'd be surprised the hands people have. And that's the other thing. However bad you think your hand is, there's always a worse. Someone got dealt a worse deck. You know? And the beautiful thing about life is, I guess I'm running with this analogy of playing cards and a spade game, but it could apply to any game because you have cards. When you have those situations that make you think, oh man, I'm not equipped or I'm not apt enough, those are the opportunities that I was talking about. So even if you have a hand that you were dealt that you don't think is successful, that's an opportunity. You're going to have more opportunities. There's going to be more of you trying to look for an opportunity for a card to be played. And you always have a card that can be played in every single opportunity that comes up in life. Generally, the worse of a hand you're dealt, the more strategic you get in life. These people that seem to be moving, with prosperity, they are more strategic because they might not have necessarily been dealt the best hand. Now, I have to throw this in there. Being dealt an outstanding at face value hand, believe it or not, That makes life harder. Hear me out on this. People who are dealt those hands that you might look at and admire, or if you're honest with yourself, it might apply to some of you it might not. But those hands that you look at and you are a little bit jealous or envious or bitter about, that hand actually isn't better than yours. Not when it gets applied at face value. You know, I gave, having how many spades do you have? Because that's the first thing people want to look at. Well, yeah, the name of the game is spades, so you would think like, oh, it's all about spades, but no. That would be like saying life is all about money. Is money important in life? Of course, yes. But it's not everything. There might be people who start off with more money. That would translate over to spades in this card game that I'm talking about. But that doesn't mean that they're going to win. That doesn't mean that they can't be competed with. That doesn't mean that you aren't a competitor in the game of life or in that game of spades. Just want to give you guys a little bit of a alternative perspective on having a good hand versus having a bad hand. It's people that have a good hand, people that are just dealt all of the good cards. You know, everyone gets 13 cards in life and they got 9 spades. You know that that's actually harder to play because you have to try and make opportunities with your cards. That's generally the perspective that people take when they're just, I guess there's a saying, born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Being born with a silver spoon in your mouth is not good. Um, Objectively, being born with a silver spoon in your mouth doesn't have you necessarily as hungry as other people. Being born with a silver spoon in your mouth or being dealt just this awesome hand of cards doesn't make you look for the opportunity to play your cards as much. That type of mentality makes you want to try and manipulate the game with the cards you have. But you can't really play a game of spades like that, and you can't really go through life like that. See, people, you know, I'll turn it all out. I'll just give you a few examples. Okay, male or female, some of us look good, some of us are attractive, some of us aren't. Well, the most dangerous person? The most dangerous person would be someone who doesn't have to play on whatever would be perceived as a strong suit or a favorable, desirable characteristic. The most dangerous person is just using those things as supplemental. They're using what is unseen to the untrained eye. They have personality. They have a good mentality. They have a good energy. They have a good work ethic. Those type of things are actually what this person might be leading with. Oh, and they're attractive. Oh, and they're well spoken. The most dangerous people are the most successful people, the most competitive people. I call them dangerous, like, if we were just playing a game of spades and they got all the spades, you would think, ooh, that's a dangerous person. People that are given early access to money or finances. Well, there's a lot of people that lead with that. They got a lot of money, so they just, I don't know, kind of like, I don't want to say frugal, but you got your people that got a lot of money and they're not as maybe financially literate, financially responsible, um, and they maybe take more risk than others. Okay, I mean, yeah, that's an angle. You know, you have to take risks sometimes in order to succeed. But then you have the people who aren't taking as many risks. So what is this person doing? Well, for one, this person probably realizes that they can't really afford to take as many risks. All right, so you're not taking as many risks. Well, what are you doing after that? After that, you're calculating opportunities. You're sitting back and maybe putting a little bit more thought, maybe a little bit more research, um, maybe a little bit more reconnaissance into the moves that you make. So when you move with conviction. You might not move as often. You might not go for it, take a risk as often, but you're more calculated. You're more cognizant of things when you move. Also, when you're the one that has all of the spades, when you're the one with a good hand in life, you're targeted earlier. You get competition sooner, more often, from more angles than you can imagine. Someone who isn't necessarily dealt a hand in spades that's considered favorable, that's the person that you need to watch out for. Now, if they are dealt some bad cards and they just aren't hungry and are discouraged, I mean, maybe you probably don't have to worry about them as much. But someone who is like, I'm going to play these cards, I'm going to play these cards until the wheel falls off. That's the kind of person you need to watch out for. As a matter of fact, that's the kind of person that you want to have as your partner. Because check this out, it goes one or two ways. And this also could tie over into, I have this concept of being equally yoked. A lot of times, it's who we yoke ourselves and who we affiliate and who we associate and who we acquaint ourselves with that also can play a deciding factor in life. The company you keep, the energy that you surround yourself with. Well, all right, I got a partner. You have a partner in spades. One or two ways. If I have all of the spades, it's highly likely that my teammate doesn't have all the spades too. So if I got, like I said, get that situation where you got 13 cards and 9 or 10 of them are spades, it's highly unlikely that well, it's impossible basically that my partner has just as good of a hand as I do or better. I mean, he could have a better hand, but it's more than likely worse. If you look at your hand and it's like, whoa, wow, that's a great hand, your partner isn't really going to have a whoa, wow hand as well. So that makes it more probable that either your friend has an average hand or they've got a not good hand at all. They got dealt, an unfavorable hand. All right. Well, what are they going to do with that? See, if I've got all of the spades, basically, all of the high spades in the game of spades, well, that doesn't just mean I've won the game. Um, there's gonna be people coming for me, like that's gonna get known kind of soon into the game that, man, this guy's got a lot of spades. So then they're gonna adjust their strategy, because that's how life is, you know. Like life adjusts to you as well. You're not just always adjusting to life. Believe it or not, this universe and the energies in this world, they adjust to you for positive or for worse. So when the game starts to adjust and maybe it starts to get acknowledged that, this guy over here has a lot of spades and I'm that guy, well, how's my partner going to play? Is my partner just going to sit back and try to ride my wave? Like, oh, well, he got it. Oh, I'm just let him win all of the hands and get all of the books, and I'm going to just kind of be along for the ride. Or is my partner going to say, well, I'm going to win books too. I'm not going to let him get all of the books. I'm going to, and start competing with me? It's an interesting concept. Let me repeat that one. So if I have a great hand, and this is kind of established at this point, about, I'd say maybe 3, 4, 5 hands into the game, you could tell, like, wow, this guy has a lot of good cards. So is my partner going to just take a backseat role and ease off of the gas and not play his cards to win also? Play his cards in a manner that is um, compatible with what I seem to have? Or is this person going to try to outperform me and compete with me? That's what you would call butting heads in a spades game. Those two things can happen. What I would want, what I would want is a partner who, if I have a good hand, regardless, they're going to play their hand in a way that there's some unity between us. So if I have a good hand and they have a terrible hand, I want them to try to set me up and create opportunities for me to play my good cards. That's what a good wingman, that's what a good partner, that's what a good constituent, that's what a good affiliate and acquaintance does. That's what people who should be in your circle, people who are around you, that's what they should be doing. Like if you got a good hand, they should just be throwing you alley-oops. Or maybe just go set a pick for me. I got it. Like get these people out of my way, or like take their attention off of me so I can keep doing my thing. Or maybe we both have a good hand, and I want my partner in general to be like, all right, so who's going to take the lead on this hand? Who's going to take the support role on this hand? Who's in better position to lead, and who's in better position to support? Now, this gets tricky as well, because people gotta, a little bit of humility comes into play now, because you just gotta have humility when it comes to your partner in life, be this, business, friendship, marriage, just social life. The mentality and how people are going to compliment you actually starts to matter a lot, believe it or not. So then I guess I'll give you a different scenario. So what if I do have a terrible hand? So I would hope that if I have a terrible hand that I was dealt, that my partner knows that I'm about to work these cards. That's the first thing that you should want anybody that's associated with you to know, that I am going to play these cards to the best of my ability, period. I will find some success. I will either try and create my opportunities when need be, and or I will be waiting for opportunities that present themselves. That's the mentality you want to have. you also want your partner to know that you have that type of mentality. You also want your partner to display that type of, you know, morality and structure about themselves. So, as long as we know that, okay, I got a terrible hand, man. I'm gonna play this to the best. I don't be quitting. I don't be giving up. You would like to know that about your partner too. You hope your partner is the same way. So hopefully your partner's got a good hand. All right. So your partner's probably gonna have to take the lead a little bit. You're probably gonna have to play a supporting role a little bit, and that can get tricky as well too. Or I guess this would be the last scenario, and it's probably a little bit more common than people think. You and your partner got a terrible hand. What do you do when you and your partner have a terrible hand? So I'm gonna go back to this spade analogy. So out of 13, there's gonna be 13 hands played. There's gonna be 13 opportunities to make books. This is a situation where the minimal you can bet is 4. So you and your partner say, well, we're gonna get 4. First of all, that would seem like a loss. That would seem like a low, um, a low output. But sometimes you just have to do what you got to do. See, I'm gonna get if you on my team and it's that bad, we getting our 4. We're getting our 4 books. Like we're getting them. See, my mentality in life, like if I'm getting 4 books, even if I only look at my hand and it's like, wow, man, I could probably only win 2 hands out of this 13. No, I'm gonna get 4 if need be. Now, if we've already got 4, now we're just taking away from them. Now we're just competing with them. You know, surely if we only think that we could pull 4 out of 13, which is sometimes that's just how life is. Well, they clearly have all of the good cards because we don't. What do they bet? What they think they can get 10? They think they can get 9? Well, no. We're gonna get our 4, and we're trying to take away from their 9 because we're still competitive. You gotta always have that competitive drive in life, and you want competitive people around you. You want people with tenacity and resilience around you. So yeah, you my partner. No, I'm trying to. Hey, we are not gonna lay down. You don't want a partner that's gonna lay down. You want a partner that's trying to see how can we succeed in this as well. Whew. You get that mentality. You get a partner like that. You can't lose. You can't lose that game. You can't lose in life. And then check this out. Check this out. Now I'm gonna expand this. Now, literally, you can't lose because even if you are temporarily defeated, even if this particular game that you're playing and you didn't win, you still ain't lose because there should be some experiences, there should be some notes, there should be some perspectives, there should be a little bit of intel that you gathered on the 2 people that you played against, which are more of a representation of life. And you should walk away from something like, you know what? Whereas I did not win per se, I learned something. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mental note. You take these mental notes when it seems like you're. I don't even like to say lose. When it seems like you're not winning, Like, I don't think like winning and losing are antonyms. That's another thing. I'm gonna end that, man. Stop thinking that winning and losing are antonyms. Like, just because you didn't win, that doesn't mean you lost. And just because you lost, that don't mean someone else won. See, even if we entertain that losing word, a lot of times people think, well, when they lost, that means somebody won. Mm-mm. You know what? Sometimes don't nobody win. You lost and don't nobody win. You lost and everybody else lost too. So from that situation, you got to look at like, well, dang, there has to have been something that I could have done to win. There could surely have been a winner in this endeavor. There could have been a winner in this scenario. So winning and success is something completely different than losing. Really, the only time you lose is when you do not even strive for success, when you don't take life's challenges head on, when you don't weather the storm. That's the only time you lose. And if you don't do that, understand what I'm saying? If you don't weather the storm, if you don't see it through, if you don't fight, if you don't stand your ground, that doesn't mean that there's someone else who's winning. You shouldn't even care about winning if you're having that type of mentality. What you should be thinking is, I'm over here providing a opportunity for other people to win outside of myself. I'm over here providing the opportunity for someone to come and do what I'm scared to do. I'm over here providing the opportunity for somebody to say and address what I'm scared to address or reluctant to address or don't really. Man, that defeated mentality, man. There's a lot of, I can say it myself where I've had it at points and times where it's I don't know. I'm like, man, that seems like a daunting challenge. I don't even know who winning. I don't even know if somebody won. All I know is I lost because I didn't try or I didn't see it through or I got discouraged. So yeah, wrap it all up and say, play your cards. God don't really deal losing hands. You're never dealt a losing hand in any scenario. Ever. Every hand that you have ever had in your life, there was an opportunity for success or at the very least learning and, you know, like a tutorial, tutoring. Or you got a winning hand and win. Play it to win. Yeah. Deuces.